If you're growing and you're a successful company, you've got numbers in your reports. And what I would challenge you to do is to analyze them. Hi, my name's Devin. Today I own several multi-million-dollar companies. We started with $5,000 in a credit card. I don't know the easy way. I only know the hard way. Hey everyone, welcome to the Whiteboard Entrepreneur Podcast, where I give straightforward advice for the entrepreneur and all of us. Today I want to talk about making your numbers work for you. And you might say, well, Devin, what does that mean? I'm going to give you an example. So this week I have a story about a big success that we had at one of my companies. And it had entirely to do with some great employees and really analyzing our numbers. And so what I do with every single one of my companies is I have everybody fill out end of day reports. We've talked about this report before about how I feel it's important that, everybody has an end of day report. We all have end of months where we analyze the results, and we always try to get better. And I was getting this report every day, and it had to do with the web and web analytics and some marketing numbers, and it's a pretty lengthy report. Lots of numbers baked in there, and I'm pretty good with that. A lot of times I'll look at that and I'll, send an email back and make a couple comments, and then we make adjustments. And I've started to notice a pattern over the last month or two where this report was getting sent out, very well organized, lots of really great data in there. And, but I noticed I would read the report and then I wouldn't say anything, and I would notice that nobody else would say anything and nothing really got done. This went on for a week or so. And finally I sent an email back that said, hey, person, or, we'll just call him person D. Hey D, I noticed, that you've done a really great job with this report. Would you tell me what it means to you and what you think we ought to do, if we ought to make any adjustments or not? And I just left a very open-ended question, and I sent her back this email and said, hey, tell me what you think. Well, about 2 hours later, I got this email back, and it was long, and it had like 3 great suggestions. And I was like, okay. I responded back, DOIT, do it. Exclamation point. And she's like, what? And she sent an email like, what? You want me to do all these changes? I'm like, yeah, go for it. You looked at the data. I think it makes a ton of sense. And she was super excited. Boom, did it all. 2 days later, I get another report, and we're looking at them like the changes were good, right? And then I said, hey, what else are you seeing? Boom, she had like 2 more points of things that she thought we should change. And I said, oh man, those sound great. We got a couple other people to chime in. And we're like, yeah, let's try that too. I think one of those 2 ideas worked. The other one didn't. We shut that off. But all of a sudden I pulled her in and said, hey, this is what I want you to do. Like, you're super smart, but your job isn't just to put reports together for me. Your job is to look at these and make changes. Obviously, let's collaborate. Let's talk about whether we think they're good ideas. I want you like going off on some deep end and spending a bunch of money without, getting collaborative approval. But like, what do these numbers mean to you? And let's use them to drive. And I think this is a common story in companies. This isn't just me, and it's not just this one particular story in this one particular department. Because if you're an organized operation, you have numbers, right? Like, you have end of weeks, you have end of months, you have your financials, you have your results, you have your sales reports, you have, different production reports. I guarantee you at your company, if you're growing and you're a successful company, you've got numbers in your reports. And what I would challenge you to do is to analyze them. And we think that it's always someone else's job to do this. We think, oh, you know what? The CEO is going to look at my report and tell me what to do. And I would challenge you to change your way of thinking, because what do the numbers mean to you? What are you seeing? What goodness can you make? How can you change? How can you modify? How can you improve? How can you find betterment in your numbers? And I think most of us believe that our job is just make sure that our numbers and our spreadsheets are correct, right? We want to make sure that 1 + 1 = 2. We want to make sure that we don't look dumb when we submit our numbers. And we think we're there to submit our numbers to the CFO or to somebody else to then go and make adjustments. What I would do is I would challenge you to say, hey, what do these numbers mean for me? How can I make my department better, right? And then, say, hey, go to your supervisor or go to someone else and say, hey, I've been looking at my numbers, and I think if I made this change, that change, and this change, I bet you we could increase production by 20, 30%. What do you think? They're going to be thrilled, trust me, right? Because what we're looking for as a professional, and when I look around in my organization, I look for people who are always trying to understand the data, utilize it to grow, utilize it to prosper, and to find opportunities. And that's what a true executive does. And as soon as you start to see the world, and as soon as you start to see your job and the operation through that type of a lens, you're going to do great things. And right now, maybe you're sitting there feeling guilty and being like, you know what? Actually, I'm the CEO and I'm not even looking at our numbers close enough. Listen, today's the day to change. Like, the devil's in the details, the devil's in those numbers. But I would tell you that the opportunities are there, man. You have to dive deep. But when you're looking at them, analyze them and decide, what can I get out of this? How can I make my company better? How can I grow? I'm Devin. This is the Whiteboard Entrepreneur Podcast, and I know this is going to help.